Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So before we get started, remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you see it every time that I post. Give this video a thumbs up if you like the content, and anything you would like to add, feel free to do so down below in the comment section. Now, we are back in episode 3 of Blood and Water. Now, we just left off with Miss Puleng. She got caught in the office by Wade. He made up a lie for her, right? So she got out of there scot-free. Well, the next morning for school, before school, KB sends Puleng actually the rap that he had rapped for. So she's all hunky-dory, like everything is fine. And I'm just like, okay girl, but you got some explaining to do. She's in for a rude awakening when she gets to school because the article has been printed that Wendy altered, right? So that morning, so when she gets to school, everybody has a copy, everybody's reading it, and she tries to explain to Fakili and her friend, she's like, I didn't write this. She's like, this is not what I wrote at all. She's like, somebody altered what I wrote, and they're really upset with her. They're like, oh, you're a liar. We just met you. How could you do stuff like this? And she's telling Fakili, she's like, let me make it up to you. Let me prove that I didn't write this article, right? So in class, she's trying to talk to Wade. She's like, hey, well, in class, she's just trying to talk to Wade. He's kind of blowing her off, you know. One, he's upset about her lying to him about, you know, being out. And then two, now he's called her in the office. And so she's like, don't you normally, aren't you the one, you know, who prints out the magazine? And he's like, yeah, I am. He's like, I tried to talk to you about it, but then, you know, I caught you doing something else. And he was like, tell me what you were doing. So she didn't want to tell him. So he was like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to report you then. She didn't blow up the classroom. She made a little smoke, little fumes and stuff. So everybody leaves out of the classroom. And so she pulls him to a photography room, or develop room, whatever, where they develop photos. And she's like, please, please, please don't tell that I was in there low-key trying to steal the birth certificate. Now, she tried to tell him a lie to begin with, but he clocked that. He was like, stop lying to me. He's like, that's all you do is lie. So she eventually had to come clean and tell him everything about how she thought that Fakili was her sister. So he also told her, he was like, oh, I know your last name is really Kumalo and not Vezi. And she was like, oh, Lord Jesus. So the jig was up. Fakili goes to see her swim coach / boyfriend. I don't know what's going on there. But she was telling him, you know, like, oh, people are talking about me. They're saying that I'm, you know, this spoiled, privileged girl. And he was just basically looking at her like it was some adolescent drama. He was like, don't worry about what people say. He was like, you know, you work hard for the things that you have. And he was like, you know, just take the narrative and make it work in your favor. And so she actually starts handing out food during the lunch period, I guess, to kind of turn the story around, right? Back to Puleng and Wade. Wade actually shows Puleng the birth certificate, and she's like, yeah, I've already seen it. But she tells Wade on the birth certificate, there are 2 dates that don't correlate with each other. There are 2 different dates on the birth certificate. She's like, and that's weird. Puleng asked Wade to help her, and Wade was like, oh, I don't know about that. She was like, please, 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 please. He's like, you know, of course he's smitten with her, so he's gonna, he gonna do it anyway. Now, Puleng goes to see Wendy, and she's like, hey, you need to retract this statement. Like, this isn't what I wrote. How could you alter my story? And Wendy's like, oh, we don't retract nothing around here. Fakili deserves what she is getting what she deserves anyways, you know, because she don't really see it for her. Puleng is in the process of actually trying to break into Wendy's laptop to take down the story, or at least rewrite it or something, when KB comes in. So they go and they spend some time together during their lunch hour, right? And so they just get to know more about each other at this time. Out on the courtyard, lunch yard, I don't know, you know, where I said Fakili is handing out lunch. This is really pissing Wendy off because she wants her best friend Tahir to win head girl. So she I'm sure it was her. Someone wrote Plantation Princess on one of Fakili's flyers for head girl. I am more than sure that it was Wendy, but you know, I didn't see her with my own eyes, but it was her. Before like the official like head girl debate that day, Puleng goes up to Tahir and she tells her, she's like, hey, like, your best friend Wendy changed my story, is trying to make Fakili look bad. She told her, she was like, I don't think you want to win on the premise that basically, Wendy had to make her look bad in order for you to win. So she's kind of making, Tahir feel bad. She's like, have your friend retract the freaking article. So they go up and they do their debates, right? And unfortunately, Tahir's, like, speech was better than Fakili's because she was, it pulled more on the heartstrings of, like, the individual student, at the school. And so Puleng jumps up to kind of try to save Fakili a little bit, but Wendy wasn't having it. So she jumped up to, like, basically just saying, you know, you're just privileged and spoiled and you get everything that you asked for and everything's handed to you. And I was like, this girl is relentless. So after the debate, Tahir confronts Wendy and she's like, did you do it? And she was like, oh, but you're gonna win. And Tahir's like, this isn't the way that I want to win. Like, if this is what you did, like, you need to fix it. And so Puleng is looking from afar, and Wade comes up to her and Wade's like, okay, I will help you. He did tell her, though, that he had to show her something. And before he could even tell her, she gets called to the principal's office. When she gets to the principal office, both of her parents are there, and they're telling her that the police have a lead on a girl who could potentially be her sister. Her parents take her out to eat to tell her that they think they found her sister. So they're asking her, will she come with them to the hospital in order to do the DNA test. So she goes over to Zama's house actually to tell her the news, and Zama's not at home, so she just leaves a message with her mom. Hey, can you tell her that we think we might have found my sister? She gets home. She's not ruling out that Fakili is still her sister. She just kind of puts it on the back burner for a second, like, okay, I'm gonna just hold this just in case this girl is not my sister. She gets a call from Wendy telling her that she's gonna retract the statement and she's gonna send her the recording of the interview so Puleng can set everything right. So Puleng calls Fakili and she's like, hey, I'm gonna release the interview. Everything's gonna be okay by tomorrow, right? So Fakili is out with her friends and stuff, and Chris shows up with Zama, and Fakili tells them, hey, everything's gonna be fine by tomorrow. Puleng's gonna release the interview. So they leave Chris and Zama to talk. I forgot to mention, Wendy had the nerve to tell Puleng, rewrite the story, release the recording, but leave me out of it. And I would have told her the same way you left me out of it when you changed my story and then published it under my name. I would have told her, girl, bye, and get up off my line with that mess. But anyways, like I was saying, Chris and Zama are talking, and Zama's just saying how she's upset with Puleng for leaving, and he said something about her last name, and Zama's like, that's not her last name. Her last name is Kumolo.
Hush! You talk too much. Homegirl, you never shut up.
And he's like, what? So now that cat's out of the bag, and I'm pretty sure that Chris is about to tell the rest of his friends, including Fakili. And I'm just like, oh, Lord, here we go. Miss Fakili and her swim coach / boyfriend are taking a walk. And all of a sudden, swim coach, his girlfriend, or so I thought, showed up, and she brought him lunch, right? So Fakili is looking from behind a tree, and come to find out, she's pregnant with a baby. I said, oh my word. Oh my word. Since Fakili was upset about seeing swim coach / boyfriend with his girlfriend / wife, I don't know which one yet, she goes into the classroom, and she is not taking no nonsense from Wendy. She went off on Wendy, read her all of her rights, and then stormed up out of the classroom. So since she did that, Wendy is upset. And so what does Wendy do? Wendy deletes the freaking interview, right? Over at the hospital, Puleng is there with her parents, and they are swabbing her dad's mouth for the DNA test. And during this time, Puleng's mom gets a text, or so I think. We heard a ding, and she leaves. She's like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm like, that looked real suspicious, girl. What you run off to the bathroom for? Because your phone dinged. I was like, So during this time, Puleng asked her dad, she's like, hey, can you tell me what it is the police have on you? And he's like, oh, we'll discuss that at a later time. I'm like, no, we're gonna discuss it now, because I want to know. Tell me. In the car, on the way to the school, Puleng and her mom kind of share a moment, and Puleng's mother tells her that, you know, me and your father are going to take out a loan so we can pay for your schooling. And Puleng's like, oh no, don't do that. And her mom's like, it's too late, it's already been done. And they're kind of just rejoicing in the fact that you know, her mom might have her daughter back, and that Puleng might have her older sister that she's never met, right? Puleng gets a text from Fakili in the car, and she's like, she basically called her a liar because she said she hasn't seen, you know, the interview that was supposed to come out to that day. So, like I said, they go over to the swim meet because they're having another one. She finds Wendy to ask her what's up, like, what's up with the recording, and Wendy's just like, oh, I deleted it, whatever. I'm like, what you mean whatever? Like, you were making this girl look bad. Then walks up Wade, who wants to talk about what he's found with Fakili's birth certificate. And she's like, oh, I don't really have time for this right now. Can we talk about it later? Then walks up KB. I was like, oh, drama. Drama. Both the boys right here together. Drama. So, up walks KB, and she's like, he says to her the same thing, like, I thought you were going to release the interview today. And she's just telling him, like, I was trying to, like, just really, like, frustrated. He's like, oh, well, come and sit with me. And she's like, oh, okay. And then Wade's like, I thought you said you had to leave. Your mom's outside. She's like, oh, yeah, I do. So, right before she leaves, the girl swimmers come out. They get up there. Now, Fakili is supposed to win this race, correct? Well, somebody distracts her because they say something mean to her. And so she takes off late behind the other swimmers. Now, she came in really close to winning, but she was still behind. So, she doesn't win this race. And I'm pretty sure this is probably the first one that she hasn't won. So not only is she devastated, everyone else is devastated as well. Puleng goes back into the locker room. She's trying to explain to Fakili what happened, and Fakili is like, forget it, you're a liar, I don't want to hear it, get out my face. When Puleng gets home with her mom, Zelma is outside waiting. So they both apologize, and they patch up their friendship. So everything has been mended, and they're trying to get everything back to normal. Zama said she was just really upset that Puleng just up and left and didn't tell her that she was switching school. Now, later that night, Fakili showed up to the club trying to have a little too good of a time, and apparently she had been told that Tahira got the head girl position and she didn't get it, so she's really bummed about that. And so Chris takes her off to the side, and Chris is like, oh, this is all Puleng's fault, like, she did this on purpose, like, her last name really isn't her last name, this is her real last name. And then, you know, he shares the story about, you know, Puleng's dad. I'm like, messy queen. Puleng goes and she finds her mom actually in the kitchen crying. She finds her crying because she finds out that the girl that they DNA tested is actually not her sister. I'm like, okay, well, that puts Fakili back on the table. Like, we need to get the ball rolling to figure out if this is sis or not, right? Wade shows up at her window and shows her the signature of the person who notarized the birth certificate, and he's like, well, we need to find out who this B. Jacka is. He's like, if we can find out who B. Jacka is, we can talk to them and see, you know, what all this birth certificate stuff is about. So the hunt is back on. We need to get back on the ball because we kind of slowed up a little bit because we thought Fakili wasn't the sister anymore. We need to get back on the fact and see if Fakili is her sister. And I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye.